It was a crisp autumn afternoon, and Lily stepped out of the grocery store, her arms laden with bags. Her 39th birthday was approaching, and she wanted everything to be perfect for the small gathering she'd planned. She had selected her favorite ingredients, intent on making an intimate but elegant dinner for her closest friends. Though her husband, Dan, had been distant lately, she hoped that celebrating with friends in their cozy home might rekindle the warmth they once shared. Lily's mind drifted as she carefully planned out her cooking steps, walking quickly across the parking lot. She didn't notice a car edging toward her until she was jolted by a harsh, unexpected push. The impact threw her off balance. Her groceries tumbled to the ground, apples rolling under parked cars, and a carton of eggs cracked open, spilling across the pavement. Lily gasped in shock, her hand stinging from where she had instinctively tried to break her fall. Before she could gather herself, a young man hurried out of the car. His expression was a mixture of worry and panic. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Are you okay?" he asked, reaching out a hand. "I don't know how I missed you." Lily brushed off her clothes, grimacing as she tried to ignore the sting in her wrist. "It would help if people paid more attention while driving," she muttered, though her voice softened as she saw the remorse on his face. "Just, please watch where you're going next time." He extended his hand in apology. "I'm Ben. Let me at least help you pick up your things. And if it's all right with you, I'd be happy to drive you home." Sighing, she nodded reluctantly. It was only a few blocks, but her bags were now heavy and damp from the broken eggs. "All right, Ben. I'd appreciate it." As they gathered her groceries, Ben continued to apologize, and Lily found herself studying him. He was younger than she had initially thought, with an open, honest face. On the short drive, the tension slowly ebbed away, replaced by easy conversation. Ben mentioned that he was navigating life as a single father, raising his 5-year-old daughter, Emma. "It's been challenging," he admitted, glancing over at her. "But I wouldn't trade it for anything." Lily felt a pang in her chest. Children were a sensitive subject for her. She had longed to become a mother, but despite years of trying, it never happened. In a tight voice, she responded, "I don't have any children." She offered nothing more, unwilling to unravel the complex emotions tied to the topic. They pulled up to her home, a beautiful, expansive house that looked like it belonged in a magazine. "Thank you, Ben. I appreciate the ride." She flashed him a quick smile, then slipped out of the car, grateful for the brief, unexpected connection, but eager to leave her thoughts behind as she prepared for the evening. As evening approached, Lily worked tirelessly in the kitchen, her heart set on making the evening special. Her friends Emma and Sean had been with her through thick and thin, their friendship reaching back to college days. Though they now lived busy lives, they had promised to come and celebrate her birthday. Lily hoped the evening's warmth would dispel the nagging sense of loneliness that had taken hold in recent months. Dan, her husband, had been growing more distant, often coming home late with barely a word of explanation. Whenever Lily asked about his long hours, he'd brush her off, citing high-stakes projects that needed his attention. Lily tried to understand, telling herself that his work as a project manager often demanded long hours. Yet, as she set the table with her carefully chosen dinnerware, a familiar pang of sadness surfaced. Tonight was supposed to be special, yet there was a hollowness she couldn't shake. The doorbell rang, snapping her out of her thoughts. Checking the intercom, she saw her dear friends' faces lit up with cheerful smiles. Opening the door, she welcomed them warmly. "Happy birthday, Lily," Emma exclaimed, pulling her friend into a tight hug. "You're as radiant as ever." Sean grinned, handing her a bouquet. "It's true, Lily. You don't look a day over 25. Lily laughed, appreciating their warmth. She led them inside, offering drinks and guiding them to the living room, where the carefully set table waited. The three friends settled into easy conversation, exchanging stories and laughs as they reminisced about their college days. The evening was filled with lightheartedness, the kind of laughter that felt like a balm for Lily's bruised heart. But as the night wore on, Emma finally broached the topic that had been on her mind. "Lily, she said, her tone gentle yet probing. "We've noticed you seem a bit off lately. Is everything okay between you and Dan?" Lily hesitated, taking a sip of her wine to mask her discomfort. She didn't want to burden them with her worries, but Emma and Sean's concern was genuine, and the words tumbled out before she could stop herself. "It's been challenging. Dan's always working late, and he seems more distant than ever. I can't remember the last time we spent a weekend together without him checking his phone." Emma nodded, her face sympathetic. "You know, you don't have to go through this alone. If he's not giving you the support you need, maybe it's time to focus on what makes you happy." Sean chimed in. "Emma's right, Lily. You used to love working as an interior designer. Maybe getting back into your own projects would give you a sense of fulfillment." Lily glanced around the house, her gaze lingering on the decor she had poured herself into when they first bought the place. It had been her domain, her sanctuary. Yet, over time, she had given it all up, putting Dan's preferences before her own. She had let go of her career dreams to support him, staying home to build the life he seemed to envision. The realization hit her hard. She had been living in his shadow, quietly burying her ambitions for the sake of his success. Emma reached out, touching her hand. "Lily, don't let anyone make you feel small or unimportant. You deserve a life that makes you happy." Lily nodded, feeling the weight of her friend's words settle into her heart. Their support gave her a flicker of courage. Maybe she could reclaim her dreams, even if it meant stepping out of the safe but stifling box she had built for herself. The evening continued with toasts and laughter, but Lily couldn't shake the small but growing sense of resolve forming within her. Hours passed, and eventually, Emma and Sean left with promises to meet soon. As Lily stood at the door, watching them disappear into the night, her heart sank at the silence that filled the house once more. She glanced at the clock, nearly midnight, and Dan still hadn't returned. She tried calling him, but it went straight to voicemail. With a heavy sigh, she cleared the table, wrapping up leftovers, and quietly tidied up the living room. Just as she was about to head upstairs, she heard the front door creak open. Dan stepped in, his gaze barely meeting hers. He offered a quick, "Happy birthday," before heading to his study without a second glance. Lily watched him go, her heart aching. She wondered if he even noticed the efforts she'd made, the evening she had carefully planned. She didn't know how long she could keep up this one-sided effort. When the house was finally still, Lily slipped upstairs, exhausted but unable to sleep. Dan's indifference had etched itself deeply into her heart. The flicker of resolve from earlier now blazed more brightly. If he wasn't going to be there for her, maybe it was time she truly learned to be there for herself. In the weeks that followed, Lily began to take steps toward reclaiming her life. She reconnected with old colleagues and started taking on small design projects, reigniting her passion for interior design. It felt liberating to focus on something of her own after so many years. Slowly, her days filled with purpose beyond her role as a wife, and she found herself rediscovering the confidence and joy that had once defined her. One afternoon, as she was leaving a meeting with a client, she spotted a familiar figure waiting by her car. It was Ben, the man who had nearly run her over weeks ago on her birthday. Surprised, she approached him with a smile. "Ben, what brings you here?" she asked, genuinely curious. He grinned sheepishly. "I actually recognized you from a distance. I wasn't sure if it was you, but I thought I'd say hello. How's everything going?" Lily laughed, feeling oddly comfortable around him. "Things are different, but in a good way. I'm starting my own projects again, getting back into design. It feels like I'm finally doing something just for me." Ben nodded, his eyes warm with understanding. "That's wonderful, Lily. I'm happy for you. I know what it's like to make big changes," he said, his voice softening. "Raising my daughter on my own wasn't part of the plan, but it's brought me more joy than I ever imagined." They talked for a while, sharing stories of their challenges and newfound purpose. Ben's presence was calming, and Lily found herself opening up about things she hadn't told anyone else. For the first time in a long time, she felt truly seen and understood. As they said their goodbyes, he extended an invitation. "If you'd like, maybe we could grab coffee sometime. I think we could both use a friend who understands, the ups and downs." Lily hesitated only a moment before nodding. "I'd like that, Ben. Thank you." Their coffee meetups became regular, and over time, they grew closer, finding solace and companionship in each other's company. Ben's daughter, Emma, adored Lily, and Lily found herself growing fond of the little girl, who brought a lightness to her life that she hadn't felt in years. In their quiet moments, Lily realized she had finally found a happiness and peace that she had thought was beyond reach. Meanwhile, her growing career success did not go unnoticed by Dan, who had become increasingly aware of her newfound independence. He seemed almost resentful of her accomplishments, and their conversations grew strained. One evening, after another long day, he came home and bluntly stated, "I don't understand why you're so focused on work these days. What's wrong with just taking care of things at home?" Lily looked at him, a mixture of sadness and resolve in her gaze. "Dan, I've spent years trying to make you happy, to build a home we could share. But it's become clear that you don't see or appreciate what I bring to this marriage." Her voice didn't waver as she continued, "I need more than just existing as someone's wife." Dan's expression darkened, but he didn't argue. The truth was undeniable, and he could sense the changes that had taken root in her. Lily was no longer the quiet, accommodating woman he had once known. Eventually, after months of drifting further apart, they agreed to part ways. It was bittersweet, but necessary, and Lily felt an unexpected lightness as she embraced her new path. Her friends, Emma and Sean, stood by her, celebrating each milestone and supporting her through the transition. As the months turned into years, Lily's life transformed. She and Ben grew closer, their relationship deepening into a genuine partnership built on mutual respect and understanding. Together, they created a warm, loving environment where both Emma and Lily could thrive. They built a new home, filled with laughter and love, each of them grateful for the journey that had led them to each other. One bright morning, as Lily looked around at her life, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Every challenge, every heartache, had ultimately paved the way for this moment. She had found herself again, rediscovered her passions, and learned the true meaning of happiness. Lily's story was a testament to resilience and the belief that even the most painful endings can lead to beautiful new beginnings.